this micro-expressions seminar. My name is Cosme Pacana. I'm a certified micro-expressions practitioner from the Center of Body Language, Belgium. Before I'll give you a quick overview of the seminar, I'd like to tell you briefly about my background so that you will know where I'm coming from. My fascination with this science of body language started when I was working as a former legal investigator of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. Every time there's a complaint or case filed, part of my job is to interview people, take their affidavits, ask me to help them get to the bottom of the case and file the case in court. Back then, I don't have any knowledge on micro-expressions. I can't identify, much less label a type of emotion. But instinctively, I can distinguish between a positive and a negative emotion. As investigators, you know that our job is to find out the truth, to spot and identify a lie or false statement, and to get to the bottom of the case in the shortest possible time, despite the obstacles. What are the advantages of this micro-expressions training? I can mention 5. The first is that a knowledge of micro-expression enables you to establish good rapport with the person that you're investigating. You don't only identify, but you can also react appropriately to the witnesses that you are investigating. You can spot the 7 universal micro-expressions and its 26 variations. It's daunting, but if you take time to practice, you can actually master this skill, knowing that it's visible to the human eye. It can reduce the number of hours and days in your training, in your conducting investigation. And finally, it can enhance your emotional intelligence, knowing that microexpression is the beginning of an emotion. And before you can facilitate, label, and manage emotional intelligence, you need to identify. And how can you identify if you don't know these microexpressions? Before I move on, I'd like to mention some researches that were conducted regarding micro-expressions. And I'll prove to you that this science is already very old. The study traces its origin from scientist Charles Darwin. He published a book entitled The Human Emotion of Man and Animals, published in 1872. In that book, Darwin claimed that the facial expression between human beings and animals are the same in that they communicate each other. This was followed in the 1960s by Haggard and Isaacs, who, while scanning motion pictures segment by segment, drawn from psychotherapy hours between the therapist and the patient, they discovered nonverbal communication and called it micro-momentary expressions. Other scientists and psychologists followed, like Paul Ekman and Wallace Friesen. The gist of their study brought the study of Darwin to a higher level, in that they discovered that microexpression is not only cultural but biological. It's not only local but universal and true to all peoples, cultures, and countries. Having established the theories, what is microexpression? Well, microexpression are short, involuntary muscle movements in the face that last half a second. Though they are not proof of lying, they signal the beginning of an emotion and are a reliable indication to detect lies. Let me now walk you through to the 7 universal micro-expressions, which are happiness, contempt, disgust, anger, sadness, fear, surprise. For purposes of this presentation, I can only discuss 3 micro expressions. Let's start with happiness. Laugh and the world laughs at you. Smile, they say, is the most contagious and desirable of all emotions. Whatever reason that a person is happy, it's easy to spot this happiness because both sides of the lips go in symmetrical way. The other variation is that you have a real smile wherein the eye cover fall drops plus the brows is lowered. By the way, don't you know that there are 50 types of smiles? Like amusing smile, anger smile, contemptuous smile, the list goes on. And the most sincerest of all these smiles is called the Duchenne smile, named after its discoverer, the French neurologist Duchenne de Boulogne. I hope I got it correctly. Once you see this happiness, it tells you that the person is open and you can practically ask anything. You can even borrow money. I'm kidding. When you see this expression of happiness, it means that the person is open, is willing to tell the truth, and is willing to cooperate with you. The second micro-expression is contempt. Contempt happens when a person, because of his knowledge, his status, his work experience, tries to compare himself with the other and looks himself as superior and the other is inferior. It is easy to spot this because of all the micro-expression, this one is asymmetrical, meaning it's not balanced, it's not proportional. One side of the lips is raised, either on the left or on the right. The other variation is that the expression is still asymmetrical, but the person tries to mask it with a smile. Be wary when you see this micro-expression. As investigator, you should be willing to prepare because the person is not willing to tell the whole truth, is not willing to cooperate with you. And my experience has been that whenever I see this expression of contempt, I also allude to my superior background, my work experience, and just appeal to the person. Otherwise, I just let him go because I'm wasting my time. The third micro-expression is disgust. Disgust is actually a reaction to a smell which causes the olfactory channels in the nose to contract. Like when you open the fridge and you see a food that's soiled and it's been there for days and you see the nose wrinkles around it. The second variation is you still see the wrinkles around the nose, but the upper lip is raised. When you see this micro-expression of disgust, it tells you that the person is disgusted with you, does not feel comfortable in talking with you, and is not willing to cooperate. A word of caution though, it is possible that the person is under duress by his superior to tell a lie. And so as investigator, you need to just appeal to the person to help you, or you just make him comfortable, or to change the topic that evokes pleasure with him. I can go on to explain other micro-expressions like fear, sadness, anger, and surprise, but we don't have time for this. But you also note that there are 26 other variations. And while I address myself principally to investigators, you know that this is also useful for HR, those who conduct interview and recruitment. It's also useful for those who are in customer service. It's also useful for those who are in sales, like when they change their sales speeds, when they want to close a sale, every time they see this micro expression. If you're interested in this training, visit our website, centerforbodylanguage.com, take a test, or take our online courses. Let me end this presentation with a quote from Daniel Goleman, the author of the book Emotional Intelligence. Research indicates that emotional intelligence is twice as important as IQ plus technical skills for outstanding performance.